Ever since I was a kid, I've been obsessed with level creators.
Music power.
I remember late nights where me and my brothers were playing Far Cry Instinct's Evolution on custom maps that looked and played awful. But it never mattered because we had made it together. And that made the experience of playing against each other on that map special. And by the time we got Far Cry 2, my brothers had moved on to playing games online. We only had one copy and neither were all that interested in playing split screen. Still, despite having nobody to play with, I would still make maps and run around in them on my own, basically pretending to fight players in my imagination. Later I got Halo Reach, Skate 3, Far Cry 4, and yes, I know I skipped the best one as a kid. These games allowed your level to be shared and downloaded, but there was no way for people to find your level naturally. And even if your level did get popular, you had no way of seeing people playing on it. No way to get feedback unless you were playing it with friends. Especially if, like me, you just didn't want to bother people by asking them if they wanted to play your level.
Custodian. In the wasteland, only one thing matters. Pure genetic material. Take all you can and build anything to protect it.
Game trailers are corny as hell, but I was excited, especially once I found out the whole point of the game was to play others their creations. There was no campaign to follow with the option of downloading some people's levels. No, the community created levels were the game. When the playtest happened, I was there day one. And it was everything I dreamed of. You could create a level with traps and enemies, and a goal to grab at the end. And then, quite importantly, you could watch other players run through your level. The next time you wanted to edit that level, you could see where players had died, make decisions about what to keep and what to change. And all of this without having to advertise your levels, or convince all of your friends to get a game. Unfortunately, the game is struggling to stay alive. Why? Well, to keep it short, exploits that took a long time to get patched, skill boxes that were a pain in the ass to beat and made to be frustrating, balanced weapons and armors, the art style being nothing but dirt, punishing people for placing decorations, punishing creative level designs in favor of a walkable path when you have a grappling grindy progression, people abusing difficulty rating, lack of community features. This is a community-based game for crying out loud, and the only thing I can do to congratulate a builder on their map is to viciously nod at the end of my playthrough in the hopes the creator will see it. The insanely long load times.
Of violence and hatred for a greater cause.
But all of that's not important, really. What is important is that Meet Your Maker does a lot of things right. I want to go over those things in detail, but for that I think it's important I explain a bit more about how the game actually works. I want to tell you about Meet Your Maker, developed by Behavior Interactive, is technically a first-person shooter, in the same way that Portal is a first-person shooter. I struggle to find the right genres, really, to exactly define the game. This is because every level is made by players. Sure, some levels might feel like you're playing Doom, but other levels might not even have any enemies or traps. So instead, let me just explain the goal. You need to get genetic material, also known as GenMat. GenMat progressively upgrades your crew, and each time you upgrade, you get 1 tick of 5 on your upgrade meter. When you have 5 ticks, you get 100 cells, which is the main progression resource in the game. There are 2 ways of earning GenMat: building and raiding. If you raid, you'll load into a randomly selected player level. GenMat is located at the end of said level, therefore you must enter, grab the GenMat, and escape. If you build, you'll make a level, usually fill it with traps and guards, and it'll passively generate GenMat for you regardless of whether or not you're playing. Other players will try to raid your level, and each death they suffer during their playthrough will reward you with extra materials. Quite importantly, as a builder, there's only 3 limitations to your level. It needs to fit within a block budget, it needs to fit inside a buildable space, and it needs a walkable path to your objective. This means that you can submit your level like this, or like this, or really anything in between. Sometimes the objective is easy to reach, but a challenge has been set up beside it. Sometimes you get to choose between 2 paths. Sometimes the map just kinda autoplays itself. Yeah. There are many options. and it's often fun to see what people can come up with. But of course, with no limits, it also doesn't stop people from making maps that are purely frustrating. Nobody is obligated to make a good map. And you might think a rating system would be good, or maybe a way to search for maps that are specific to your tastes, through tags or following map creators you like. However, all of these would ruin what makes Meet Your Maker so special. See, if you want to raid, you get a few randomly selected player-created maps to choose from. I can't really prove it, but I'm pretty sure newer maps get priority over existing ones. This means that even if you aren't good at building, even if your maps are kinda just bad, someone out there will still play it. And it might be a slight annoyance for you as a player in that moment, but it is something seriously special for the builder. Because I think back to younger me, imagining playing with other players on my Far Cry 2 maps. Just how much it would have meant to see even one real player on the enemy team, engaging with what I've made. The lack of search features to play what you want means that everyone gets a chance to have their level played. Which brings me to the next important feature, replays. When a player has gone through your level, their entire run will be saved and sent to you. You can load this playthrough and watch it from any angle that you want. Pausing and playing and changing playback speed, this is not only just something fun to do, but it's also helpful for the next stage of the game. You'll see what surprises players, where they look and where they don't look, what parts are hard and what parts are maybe too easy. When you make a level, it stays up for a few hours, sometimes a full day. If enough people have died on your map, and or given commendations, it'll be eligible for reactivation. This gives you a higher block limit, and by watching the replay, you might have had some ideas for improvements. And this would be the perfect time to apply them. So then you load into your level, and inside the level itself are death totems, which allow you to see exactly where these people died and how. This both reminds you of the deaths you saw in the replay, and it collects deaths across replays, making it easier to see what parts of your level work the best, further helping you figure out where to add any new blocks. This process can repeat up to 10 times, depending on whether or not you got enough deaths or accolades. And each time it repeats, it gives you a higher block limit, each time letting you reshape your creation to be more deadly, or just work better in general. This system works really well to stop low quality maps from sticking around for too long. In the process of leveling up, they will either become better, or not get enough commendations or kills to reach the next level, leading to those levels only sticking around for one day. Like I said, everyone's level will get a chance to be played, but there's incentive to make it good so it sticks around for longer. All of this is a sort of training pipeline for level designers. Now, that's a strong statement, and I'm not going to say playing Meet Your Maker will get you a job at Arcane Studios as a level designer, but it definitely gets you familiar with the concept of playtesting, turning it into something fun and accessible. Testers are given to you in the form of players, along with the opportunity to make improvements based on how those testers played your level. The drive to improve is satisfying, especially when your observations are proven correct next time someone falls for one of your carefully designed traps or rooms. The rest of this game supports this whole playtesting loop as well. You start off with basic traps and over time you unlock more, which kind of helps with the concept of overchoice, which is where a player can't decide on what they should use and instead just never tries to use any of the provided tools. There's an upfront cost to purchasing a plot of land where you can create a level, meaning it's more cost efficient to improve upon your current level rather than keep making low effort new ones. Even when you're raiding instead of building, as you play others their levels, you'll get exposed to different trap combinations you might have never thought about. And this all leads to your own builds where you can integrate these designs where they fit, reinforcing this sense of community where everyone just kind of works together to create the best traps possible. Now, all of this should work, at least in theory, and I feel like it largely does, but it's not perfect. A game entirely dependent on its players for fun and interesting content, well, it's difficult to manage. Remember when I said replays allow you to see how someone goes through your map and make improvements based on that? Well, it's true in theory, but there's a wide variety in skill. What's easy for one player can cause another to get completely stuck. Also, especially now, the lower player base means it's possible to reactivate your map, but definitely quite hard, as there's not nearly as many players coming through your maps. I previously also said that poorly designed maps don't last, and it's more cost efficient to upgrade existing builds than to make new ones, which is sort of true, but the cost difference isn't really that big. Plenty of maps are just a hallway filled with as many traps as possible, purely made to farm resources. Certain tricks have also proven to be very effective in killing raiders, tricks that are quite hard to counter but easy to implement. This means that even if the map isn't liked, it will still get enough points for reactivation because, well, each death adds to their point pool. Therefore, the map doesn't actually have to be good, it just has to be deadly. All of this to say that I see the vision, or at least I think I do. I think I see what the developers were trying to get, but players are just very unpredictable. And unfortunately, efficiency just wins out over fun most of the time. So, what was the point of this whole video? I just wanted to show how playtesting as a game experience is something extremely novel and interesting. It stems back from those feelings I had as a kid. Making a level and just imagining what it would be like to see someone playing on it. This game fulfilled that fantasy for me, but unfortunately with its lower player base, it's just not as exciting anymore. So, until someone gives this concept another go, I guess I'll just have to settle for making an actual video game. It can't be that hard, right?